KTN News. Get the whole story.
Drought. It's one of the consequences of climate change. When there is drought, there's food shortage and water scarcity. This may impact on families' day-to-day activities, including people going to school, and cases of gender-based violence and other vices may be on the rise. My name is Purity Museonzuki, and on this episode of Health Watch, we highlight the impact of drought on people with underlying conditions. In the 2022 Global Hunger Index, Kenya ranks 94th out of 121 countries with sufficient data to calculate GHI scores. And with a score of 23.5, Kenya is among countries with a level of hunger that is serious. Isiolo, one of the arid counties in Kenya, has not been spared by the ongoing ravaging drought that is projected to leave close to 5 million people at a risk of starvation.
Looking at the drought situation in Isiolo, more than 30,000 households they are in need of food assistance. But if you look at the number now, we are targeting 667 in those areas. There are some other organizations also doing the same cash transfers, NGOs, but that is not enough. If you look at the situation the way it is in Isiolo, a lot of interventions needs to be done to fill the gaps that is there. So government also, they are doing some food distribution. County government, they have done the food relief. NDMA, they are providing fodder and pellets for the livestock, but that one is still not enough. We are urging also the government and also CSOs to upscale the ongoing interventions within the county.
The gap that has left thousands of livestock dead, many families are struggling to put food on the table.
There were a lot of carcass, the leftover of the animals that were dead, lying around, lying there. We have them in our phones. Because all these things, they are everywhere. You will find that maybe a family, somebody had more than 500, he lost more than 400. Somebody who had maybe 100, he lost, now he is left with 5 or 3. So these people, they lost a lot of livestock due to this prolonged drought. It has really affected them. That is why you find that as at now, there is a lot of immigration from Sericho Ward to Tana River to Kina, that is near Meru, in search of greener pasture. But when they go to those places, conflicts is also there. A lot of theft now they realize. Sometime even here at the border, you realize there's a lot of insecurity. Theft cases from the side of Wajir, from the side of Garissa. So that makes these people somehow be very prone to such kind of attacks. These attacks have really affected them, and now they are totally down. They really need support. If we come to the food situation, there is no farming in this place. Why? There is no rain, no irrigation, and there is no way they can do that irrigation. So these people squarely depend on relief food. And that relief food, like now, yesterday we received some allocation from the Red Cross, which was not enough. You'll find that maybe a quarter of the people received. The third quarter are left hanging. Sometime if we get the national government relief food, this is a big area whereby the population is about 37,000. And about 37,000, what will happen if you give this division 20 bags of rice. How will they distribute that among themselves?
Ali Noor, who has been battling stroke since 2020, has lost about 80 of his livestock due to the ongoing drought.
I had close to 100 goats. 80 of them have died due to the ongoing drought. I only have 20 left. I also had 10 cows, but only 2 are remaining. It is really tough here.
He has a butchery business, but after he fell ill, he was forced to close the business. The livestock was his family's lifeline.
I had a butchery business. That was what took my children to school. But I had to close it in 2020 when I was diagnosed with stroke. I am now back at home. I am currently taking medication to control high blood pressure.
He says sometimes he's forced to take his medication on an empty stomach.
This one side of my hand is completely paralyzed. I am only operating with one hand. You know, you can't operate butchery business with one hand.
According to Noor, this is the worst drought ever experienced in the region.
This ongoing drought has really affected us. We depend on livestock, but now our goats and cows are all dead. We have nothing to depend on. We have no food, even milk. The market is bad. We only depend on aid from humanitarian organizations, but it's not enough.
Halima Guyo was diagnosed with chronic ulcers in 2017. For 6 years, she has moved from one hospital to another seeking treatment. I have been sick for 6 years now. I have visited various hospitals, including in Garissa and Meru. At first, doctors suspected that it was cancer of the throat, but after several tests, the results came back negative. For now, it's all painful. I cannot swallow anything. What started as a small wound on her throat has completely grounded her. This widow is now unable to fend for her family. It started as a small wound. The doctor said that it's chronic ulcers. Sometimes I go for a week without food. That's a major problem. Even the chief here is aware. Food is a problem. There is no milk. That is what we majorly depend on. She sometimes takes her medication on an empty stomach. We are helpless. I eat anything. Sometimes I only take water and sleep. It's not easy taking medication without food. It's making the situation worse.
Responses need to be scaled up from a perspective of initially saving lives and livelihoods. Now that story is over. It's not about livelihoods, it's about lives. So if we don't have sufficient response happening at a scale that is going to ensure at least 8 in 10 are really going to be getting something to eat on that table, then the current food intake that we're witnessing, that a family can report that they are getting one major meal either in 3 to 4 days is a problem. So from that perspective, then the way forward is for us, our resources have also gone down. Our key major programming up to December was at a very good level. Now we are seeing the numbers of 30,000 I was talking about, which we are giving cash on a monthly basis, has gone down to 1,200. So it means there's serious gaps. We are calling upon every other stakeholder to pump up their response together with the government being put at the as the government.
Catastrophic consequences of the recurrent drought in Kenya continues to get worse, leaving communities in dire need of humanitarian aid.
If you can walk around in the villages, you'll realize that, like last week, these people, they have something like a timetable. Who eats today? Who should not eat today? And if you eat today, meaning you may go without food even for 3 days, because that food is not there. The little they get, they consume it all. That is now on the side of food and everything. Water. Water is really a basic need. But the problem that these people have, that water is not there. This place, I came here in 2019. I've seen rain once. That was 2019, up to date. Sijaona mvua tena. Now, with such kind of a drought, then we have water busa. There is no proper coordination that this water busa may stay here for longer for these people to get. Maybe somebody get a contract of 1 month. Then he will disappear. What about the time that these people are not there and the people are still living within this place? So water is a big problem, and what will help this area or these people is a lasting solution. A lasting solution whereby if they can be given a boreholes, they can dig a boreholes that will solve these problems once and for all. I think the issue of water will come to pass. But with the situation now, water busa won't help that problem. In fact, it is worsening the situation.
If you look at the budget that was passed, only 4 billion was provided. So 4 billion out of this year, we are talking about 3 trillion budget. That is a 0.13% of the budget, even not 2%, which is according to the disaster management acts that most of the local counties have. So as a government, if they had put even 2%, that meant we will have got a higher amount. So from that, my way forward, so that we don't deal with this kind of crisis in another time, is that we need to collectively come together. We need to ensure that disaster management works holistically, it's integrated. We work in a nexus approach where development, peace, and all these kinds of things are working together so that we are able to do these trigger models and thresholds at each of the counties where they can be able to analyze and collect more data. So the early warning system must be boosted. We would like to see the community health system, which the government is working and using with the health information system, to really pick up all that data at the very lowest level, and it's used for analysis. Right now, there's a disconnect. We're only relying on the early warnings that are provided by NDMA and the KMD. But already these indicators have been tracked by the health information system. So if that is going to be used well, we already know which areas are in a critical stage. So that will be another key thing that needs to be done. And then finally, we need to be having some resources. When the alarm is hit that situation is worsening, then you act in advance of the crisis reaching its peak. So those are the key things. So in the long run, we also need to see livestock sales happening when the crises are happening, government doing livestock off-takes, and we remove these livestock while they're in a better shape. Markets need to be created across the different ASAL counties so that we have even auction markets, kind of.
About 5.4 million people are projected to face high levels of acute food insecurity between March and June this year, of which 1.2 million people will likely be in an emergency phase. Purity Musianzuki, KTN News, in Isiolo County.